Good morning and welcome to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. Remember, it's only when a mosquito lands on your balls that you realize there's a way to solve problems without using violence. Now here's your host, Dave Carney.
Wow. All right, mosquitoes on those balls. Let me tell you something else about your balls. I don't care what anybody says. Never put cologne there. Just never do that.
Good advice.
Thank you. Joey Miller checking in early this morning. What up, dog? Says, morning, guys.
I have to apologize to
Joey
Miller. Yesterday, I said there was no bowl games last night. Of course, there was. There was a very good bowl game, as a matter of fact, and I watched it. That Oregon game was amazing against UNC. But I was looking on my phone with the schedule, and for whatever reason, and I told you this after the show, it didn't show up on my phone. It skipped right to Thursday, so I didn't think there was any bowl games, which, of course, there is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I apologize.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. There was this kid for North Carolina. I was just desperate to see. This kid for North Carolina, May. Whoa. Is he really exciting? Yeah. Bo Nix has zero resemblance, by the way. I can't remember who was talking about this. Joey Miller, Rob Dog. Bo Nix has zero resemblance to Justin Herbert. Bo Nix is like, what, 6'1", 6'2.5", maybe? Justin Herbert was a monster. 6'4", 6'5", was running over players in college. These guys didn't remind me of each other, but very good game last night. Very good.
The reason why they remind anybody of each other is because they're two white guys that both played at Oregon. That's all.
There you go. That's fair. Maybe that's why Luka's only comp is Larry Bird, right? Is that the only reason I've got Luka comped?
No, you know what? That's an easy way of. I mean, that's laziness, but it really. Unless you watch the game and you've watched Larry, no, there is a lot of resemblance, but there also is to the Joker on how he passes too.
Sure is.
In fact, I think I hate to say this out loud. I can't believe I'm saying this. Joker might be a better passer. Well, Joker might be one of the greatest passers we've ever seen. He does things that I've never seen before.
Nikola Jokic, including losing to the Sacramento Kings, something that Larry Bird never did. I don't think actually Larry Bird never lost to the Sacramento Kings.
Often.
Which the Denver Nuggets did last night by a single point, 127-126. I was actually thinking about this the other day because we had done not a deep dive, but a bit of a skim over some of the bigs in today's day and age. Giannis, who last night scored 45 points, had 20-plus rebounds. Don't let that excite you because Giannis shit the fucking bed. And it was largely his fault the Bucks lost in OT to the Bulls. We'll get into that. But I was thinking about the scoring and the passing and the rebounding and the ways in which the NBA today, because we're starting to see some performances. Zion had 40-plus last night. Jokic had 40-plus.
Yeah.
We're seeing some performances that, if you're not a basketball fan, if you're not an NBA fan, you might look at and say, these guys aren't playing any defense. No. What's happening is that these guys are getting so much better. Every single day, these guys are getting so much
Everybody
better.
Can shoot.
Everybody can shoot it now. Yeah. And when you've got Nikola Jokic being potentially the best passer in the game right now, at 7'1", 245 pounds, whatever he is, then you've really got something. And you look at a guy like Giannis, the reason these scores are going up, kids, is because 7-footers are now taking the ball coast to coast, right? D'Angelo Russell, after the Pelicans beat the T-Wolves last night, another really exciting game, lamented the fact that Zion's playing football. The rest of these guys are playing basketball. He said, we can't touch him. We can't guard him. Good for him. It makes me wonder if Shaquille O'Neal was playing now, as much as they've changed the defenses to get collapsing on, if Shaquille was allowed to run the floor like he did, as opposed to go throw it to a guard and hit the post, if he was allowed to run the floor, good God, how would you stop him? Same thing with Wilt Chamberlain. Same thing with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Olajuwon. It really does go to the fact that while we think things were a certain way, oftentimes that was a response to the condition of the times. It may have been dramatically, diametrically different if given the opportunity, like Babe Ruth. Maybe with today's sports science, Chad, and balance and lack of beers and hot dogs and cigarettes and whores before games, maybe he would have been able to hit a major league pitcher nowadays.
Well, I still think hookers and hot dogs are a part of the game. I just don't hear about it as much. Joey Miller is asking about T.O. returning. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
Is T.O. now 43?
I don't know. He's older than Tom Brady. I think he's older. I think he's like 53.
I don't think that's going to happen. Morning Wood talking about the Kansas versus Arkansas game, which was unbelievable.
That was very hot.
Did you have the over, I hope? What was it, 103 points or whatever it was?
Yeah, it was. That was a great game. You know what was interesting? The highest scoring bowl game ever actually featured Tom Brady's current coach, Byron Leftwich, when he was playing. It was 2001. Tom Brady was playing in the NFL in 2001. Byron Leftwich, his coach, was playing in college.
Is that amazing?
Think about that, okay? Tom Brady was an NFL quarterback winning Super Bowls. Byron Leftwich was in college, and Byron's this guy's coach now.
It's amazing the longevity of Tom Brady. We talk about it all the time. It doesn't make a lot of sense. He's found the fountain of youth somewhere. I know I saw LeBron talking about after their loss last night. You know, somebody asked him how long he's going to play. He says he just wants to win. You might have to play a little longer, LeBron, because I don't think it's happening this year.
Dude, good luck or go someplace else. Like that's gonna be a hard pill. I was looking at that box score last night. So the Lakers, I had taken the Lakers, plussed them up with a 4-point tease. They were 8-point dogs against the Heat. They lose by 14. Lakers committed a season high 26 turnovers. I also took a Suns bet, which I didn't realize Devin Booker was going to be ruled out. They got absolutely creamed by Washington, 127-102. But I was looking at that roster, the box score this morning. It's a bunch of who the fuck are these guys on that Lakers team? Lonnie Walker, the fourth. Patrick Beverly is so over the hill. It's not even funny. His street clothes, of course, is looking great on the bench.
He looks awesome on the bench, though.
He looks great on the bench.
The other night, he had this white, like, I don't know if it was like a denim suit on, and he was just all dapped up, and you're just looking at the guy and you're like, man, that guy looks good. Too bad he couldn't play right now.
He's got drip, what they call drip, Chad. He dresses great. Russell Westbrook is actually living right up to his name here. And Westbrook, listen, he's had 3 triple doubles off the bench, which since they've kept that stat is the most that's ever happened. But this Lakers team is living up to exactly the way that you put them together in that commercial earlier this season. Because that's just what we're seeing. We've got AD on the court looking great, but not playing. And then Westbrook last night, I don't know, 6 for 16. The Lakers are just awful. But the Milwaukee Bucks, guys and gals, last night, they really let us down. Now, Chris Middleton didn't play, Holiday didn't play, but the Bucks were up by 11 points with less than 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and find a way to lose to DeMar DeRozan and the Chicago Bulls in overtime, 119-113. Derek Carr for the Las Vegas Raiders, and this is something that Packer fans are going to eat up with spoons, is walking away from the Raiders after being informed that he has been benched for Jared Stidham. That's the subject of this morning's poll question. Chad and I will come back in about 60 seconds. We've also got Kent Dernbach coming up this morning, UWL head basketball coach. They got a big win last night, too. Stick around.
What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Do you have a wedding, anniversary party, or bat mitzvah coming up in your life? Then you need Hey Duda DJ services featuring Neil Duda, the Midwest Eminem.
No doubt about it, I'm done hammered, and that's every day. Brand's so cloudy, dog.
Dropping sick beats while you enjoy your treats. No party is too big or too small. Quinceañeras, graduations, ice cream socials, or cocktail parties. Whatever the celebration, Hey Duda is rocking the foundation.
Here we go again, back with all our friends. Here comes the pain.
Neil Duda.
Yes, Neil Duda. Broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. This is the one and only Sports Carnival. Remember, it's great if inspiration leads to perspiration. Just don't let it overwhelm you and cause constipation. Now here's your host, Dave Carney.
Yeah, big problem with the perspiration. So inspiration leads to perspiration. That leads to dehydration, which then leads to constipation. Little tip here from Uncle Dave. If we're doing an Uncle Dave's fireside chat on the fly here, drink lots of water, boys and girls. Pound that stuff up. I've got what they call, Chad, big water energy. Big W energy. BWE.
Joe says tears for deers. I'm guessing that's a Bucks comment.
You betcha.
I love that. I've never heard that. Is that like a thing?
No, it's something that Joe, smart attorney.
Okay, I like it.
Attorney says,
I like nice work.
We should be talking about last night with that Bucks team. Wow, what a way to craptastically end that one. I was looking at briefly, by the way, because my phone has been completely on the fritz. Last few days, if you've been trying to get a hold of me, you've noticed some late responses. My phone's been down mostly, but I was checking into our Facebook group page last night, Chad, during that Bucks game. Wow. I mean, people are like sending messages. They're really going to fuck this thing up, aren't they? Yep, they sure are. And they did. Kyle Wood, as a matter of fact, Morning Wood sent me a message last night and said, the Bucks are about to blow this thing. And they sure did. I think that, look, right now, there's been a couple of folks on our Facebook group page. I think Rick Hamilton in particular, saying the Bucks are just an average team. Now, I largely disagree with that, but here's the reason why. They haven't been playing at full strength. They haven't been playing Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Giannis Antetokounmpo consistently this season. Joe Ingles has just returned to the court after a year plus off from an ACL injury. So I don't agree that they're just an average team, but right now they're in a 4-game losing streak, and this is becoming one of those times. I'm not getting concerned because you've pointed this out a lot. The NBA season is a marathon. It's not a sprint, okay? So we don't sprint to the finish. You can't lose the NBA championship in December or January. But you can start to see some things with this Bucks team come up as teams like Chicago are now 5-1 against top-tier Eastern Conference opponents. The Brooklyn Nets are on a 10-game heater. You can start to see some things come up with the Bucks, Chad, that I do think are worthy of examination. And listen, I love Chris Middleton. I really do. But I do wonder if at some point here this season, maybe into next season, Middleton signed an extension, but I don't know how much longer he's got. I want to say a year or two left on his deal. Do the Milwaukee Bucks look at trying to package Chris Middleton and possibly a draft pick and acquire somebody like Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards? Right? Washington's going to end up going young. Bradley Beal's never really had a place to go. Washington will never win anything anyways, right? But do you look at a guy like Bradley Beal? Do you try to make a play? And I know this sounds completely crazy, but Eric from La Crescent Boomstick said that LeBron James needs to get the hell out of LA. Where does LeBron go? I mean, there aren't really many places to go. Do you take a flyer? I mean, would you look to make something like that, happen if you could, if the Lakers would even entertain it, which I don't know that they would, or LeBron? I wonder if at some point Giannis, who as great as he is, doesn't need a more legitimate, consistent two. Does he need a Robin on the court with him more often than not in order to beat teams that do have offensive power, like the Bulls? DeMar DeRozan had 42 last night and beat this team hitting mid-range fucking jumpers and up and under the basket layups. Zach LaVine was okay. I realized they played without Holiday and Middleton. It was a road game, but Milwaukee had this one, Chad, and down the stretch, and I think we've got the slide for this thing. Down the stretch, Milwaukee was in control of this game, like firmly. They just didn't score for like nearly the last 2 minutes of the ball game in regulation. In overtime, they were up as well and ended up ceding the lead back to the Chicago Bulls. They played, to me, in certain ways, not to lose, as opposed to playing to win. And I think that because Giannis he's not, I don't want to say super limited offensively, but you know this. He's not going to go out there like Nikola Jokic and stroke a 17, 19, 25-foot jumper. Anthony Davis, he's not going to do that. Zion Williamson had 4 threes last night for the Pelicans. My point is, he's not going to be a certain kind of offensive player. And I do wonder if, at times, the Bucks start to clench up a little bit because you don't have another guy that goes out and creates a shot consistently and can also hit it from outside, right? Like Giannis, if he hits it, you're like, oh, that's great. But I just wonder if there isn't at some point going to be a need for that conversation.
Yeah, possibly. I think that you hit the nail on the head, though. It's not only Middleton being out, but when Drew Holiday is not on the floor, it makes a huge difference. It's kind of like we saw the other night with the Knicks when Jalen Brunson wasn't on the floor. You could tell, especially when it counts, when it comes down to the end, when it comes down to time management and ball control and knowing who to get the ball to and initiating the offense and all of that. I think sometimes we overlook because of the way it's kind of positionless basketball, but you need sometimes a traditional type of point guard, or at least somebody that knows how to initiate the offense, knows where to go, and all of those things, spacing, all those different deals. And I think one thing that, the one criticism I've had of Giannis for a while, and you mentioned it, was sometimes I think he tries too hard to be a distance shooter, a 3-point shooter. And I think that it's important that he does take those. Obviously, he wants to make the defense honest. I get that. But sometimes I think he forces it a little too much. And if they did make a move to bring a number 2 on, I think that would help. Somebody that's less like Chris Middleton, that's obviously injury prone lately. He's the Milwaukee Bucks street clothes. What would be funnier, you mentioned that LeBron. So think about this: LeBron passes Kareem in point total of all time, and then goes back to where Kareem originated. That would be an interesting storyline. Now, granted, how many years does LeBron have left? I don't know. But playing with a guy like Giannis, as young and hungry as he is, that may be enticing to a guy like LeBron. If he truly is being honest and saying he wants to win, it shouldn't really matter what city it's in.
Right. And while I don't think that the LeBron thing would really happen for a number of reasons, because one of them, I think most salient to LeBron, he wants to try to hang on to play with his kid, his kid might not even be good enough to make it in the NBA, which is another thing that I feel like he overlooks and sort of overestimates. Like Bronny's not just guaranteed to be an NBA player, right? The GM isn't just going to give the kid a job. It's not baseball, right? You can't do that like you can in baseball. It just doesn't. Listen, I think there are too many things for LeBron to leave LA, but I agree. If your modus operandi is winning, then you have to look at something like this. I feel like when you take into consideration the NBA salary and how that has to be considered during a trade, which it doesn't in football, it doesn't in baseball. I don't know if it does in hockey, and nobody else does either because nobody cares. But in the NBA, you have to be within a certain percentage value of each other's contracts in order to make the trade work. The reason I bring up a guy like Bradley Beal, who feels a lot more realistic, is because that's a two guard that can go out and create his own shot, that can get buckets when buckets need to be had from the outside.
Right.
I like Chris Middleton. I do. I don't think that Chris Middleton is truly that kind of Robin. I just think that Giannis and company have elevated him so greatly that he appears to be that kind of player when playing with a guy like Giannis. Scottie Pippen, on the other hand, you put him with Portland, you put him with Houston, he was still very, very good.
Absolutely.
He was always very, very good. There was no question about Scottie Pippen's greatness. As a matter of fact, you could question Jordan's greatness because he didn't win shit without Pippen. Pippen did fine without Michael Jordan. I just wonder at some points when I watch this Bucks team, and last night, look, Grayson Allen, who Matt from the recovery room, Matty Ellens, put up that. No, and I mean, he's another one. I like Grayson Allen a lot, right? I really do. And for some reasons, he said, is he the NBA's WWE heel? Sort of.
Yeah.
He's a tripper. I mean, that's what he was famous for in college, right? He was tripping dudes.
I like guys like that on a team, though.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. But he's also not good enough to be that kind of like Bradley Beal guy. I like him in spurts.
Totally.
He can make some plays off the dribble, and I like him. He's got more hop than he seems, but he's not one of those guys. Let's face it, the Brooklyn Nets should scare us right now. The way that this team is playing, the offensive firepower that they have, that should scare us. The Boston Celtics, watching what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are doing on a nightly basis, Chad, and the Celtics didn't play last night, but they played the night before. And Jaylen Brown had this incredible clutch in the air, pump dunk. I mean, Jaylen Brown's doing windmills. These guys are scoring 60 points a game combined. And then they've got a real bench. They should worry us. The Pelicans last night, they are emerging in the Western Conference. The Grizzlies, there are a lot of good teams. And I don't want to get too crazy because, again, it's early. I realize that two players weren't playing last night. But I do think that at some point there may have to be a consideration about trying to get something, for Chris Middleton, somebody like a Bradley Beal. I'm not saying he's the guy, but somebody like him might have to be considered.
Well, yeah, but I do think that this is one of those, times where we might be overreacting a smidge. I don't see too much trouble yet. But I mean, I think it's something to at least have a discussion about. Eric from La Crescent saying, "What about LBJ in Dallas?"
Wow.
You said Doncic needs another piece yesterday. Yeah, I mean, Luka definitely needs another piece. Whether it's LeBron or not, I don't know. It would be interesting. I'll give you that, to see those two guys on the floor.
I don't know that they coexist great because neither of them play really good defense. And I sort of, man, I mean,
they both need the ball in their hands a lot.
Yeah. As cool as that sounds, like
it sounds cool
on a video game. And this is what we want to avoid, is flashy for the sense of being flashy. That's an interesting thought, though. The thing with LeBron is this: he signed an extension with the Lakers. He's not a free agent. They've got him under control for the next 3 years after this one. He can't even be traded this season, or like at least until January 15th, or he's not going to be traded this season. They would have to wait till next season anyway in order to move him. But listen, if he really just wants to win, here's what he's saying. And I doubt that it's get out of LA. Trade street clothes and Westbrook now, because we got to start winning right away. You could get something for Anthony Davis.
No doubt.
You could move him for something, even though he doesn't play. Shit, Zion Williamson, I caught this note. Played last night in his 26th game of the season. That's the second most games he's played in his career so far. This is his fourth year.
Well, and that's sad.
Most he's played.
To me, having a guy like Zion on the floor only makes the NBA better. You know what I mean? He's a must-watch kind of guy. He's, there's a couple of guys that are, Ja Morant obviously is another guy. When Ja Morant is on TV, you're going to stop and watch. When Zion is on TV, you're going to stop and watch because you don't know what you're going to see. They're going to do something spectacular, and you're like, oh my! When Luka's playing, it's the same thing. When Steph's playing, when Giannis is playing, those are the guys you want in the league to be continuously in the league and on TV as much as you possibly can have them. So I'm always pulling for Zion. I know that you've been kind of down on him just because not because of how he plays, but because he's injury prone, and I question part because of how he plays.
Yeah,
but to me, I think that it's so much better to have him in the league, and when he's doing his thing, it's pretty amazing.
Oh, it is. Listen, do not get me wrong. It is amazing. I just look at the way he plays, the torque he plays with, the weight that he carries, and I just wonder if long-term it's sustainable. I look at guys, and we've talked about him earlier, Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic. Those are like the perfectly built basketball players in a lot of ways for today's game because they're super tall, right? 7 foot plus, 6'9". They play with such pace and control. That European style of basketball, which we used to laugh at when we were kids.
It's dominating the league now. Yeah, it's
dominating the league. Look at the last MVPs. We're talking about guys not from America. Defensive Player of the Year, not from America. It's really taken over. Jason Breacher, P1 Breacher, who, by the way, better be in attendance tonight, 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock at the recovery room, said it would be nice to have another or two quick release shooters, in his opinion. Go Bucks. And I agree. There would be, listen, the Bucks have enough good shooters. Wes Matthews is a quick shooter. Grayson Allen's a quick shooter. I think they've got enough shooters. It's in a large way, the offense centered around Giannis and what that does to the rest of the team. You do have to be able to hit shots, but you also need somebody, I think, that can create their shot. And without Drew Holiday, Chad, that's really what you miss. And Drew Holiday also is one of the top 3, 4, 5 defenders as far as a guard is concerned in the NBA. So when he's also not there, you've got DeMar DeRozan, as Marengo Mike said, from Chicago, being delightful last night.
Yeah, and he was. And DeMar DeRozan, there's no shame in losing to the Bulls and DeMar DeRozan, honestly. I mean, I know you want the Bucks to win. Great. They're great, but Rob Dog saying about Bronny, the only teenager in high school to have an average layup that everyone can do and still take up 15 minutes of airtime on ESPN. Well, that's because ESPN has mandates to lick certain balls, and LeBron is one of them. Tom Brady's another, and it used to be Brett Favre. I mean, there's certain guys that you have to.
The Green Bay Packers still get so much airtime on ESPN for a team that was 4-8, 5-8, 6-8. They were getting more time on ESPN than any team with that record should have been given. There are reasons for that, right? It's not that they're determined to lick balls. It's just they know what's popular. They know what's popular.
No, well, there's
people want to watch.
So this may not be popular, but it's true. LeBron is an apologist for China. CCP and the way they handle things over there.
Yeah.
He's been called out on that a couple of times. And of course, China's where all the money's at. And so ESPN knows where the money's at. It's all part of the money. It all has to do with that.
Absolutely.
So that's why they do as much they do for LeBron, is because LeBron does as much as he does for the league, which is shameful when we really look at it in totality.
Yeah. Eric from La Crescent, and I tend to agree with you, but you're right. That is the way it is. Eric from La Crescent says, back to Miami. I doubt it, because how do you get him, right? Like, you have to be able to trade for him. So who do the Miami Heat give up for LeBron? Do you give up a Tyler Hero, an emerging star that's got 12 years left in him? Or do you know what I mean? Like, what does that get you? And do the Miami Heat then, with LeBron James, become automatically a contender?
Well, and
because he's on the team. I don't know.
You got to think of LeBron. I mean, LeBron's got to be thinking about narrative to a certain degree, right? How do I gracefully exit, right? Because, I only have a certain amount of time left. Everybody, I don't care how good you are. At some point, you got to call it quits. Where do you want to do that? And how many teams do you want to be a part of? A lot of players that have been part of 7 or 8 teams is out of necessity. right? It's because they had to, because they needed a job. In this case, that's not the situation. So if you're LeBron, to me, I think it would be better. I'm sure he's thinking it would be better to win in LA, another title in LA, and then walk off. That to me would make the most sense.
Well, that's the
Skipping
only
around a lot it just looks bad at a certain point.
right. And let's just go back to this. The contract that he signed essentially locks him into LA. And Jeannie Buss and the Los Angeles Lakers, if they are one thing, they are very shrewd about how they handle their business prospects, regardless of the season at hand. Okay. They understand how to treat stars, which is still why they get a lot of the action from these stars. They've been really graceful with all of their old guys as they have gotten old. They, the Shaq breakup was one thing, but Shaq kind of forced their hand on that. And if you watch the documentary with Shaquille O'Neal on HBO, which is fantastic, Shaq goes through that, right? He's yelling up at Jerry Buss to get him, fucking pay me my money. And Jerry Buss is like, you're fat and old. You're getting out of here. Don't yell at me while we're on the court together, right? Like, there's a line in the sand, and Jerry Buss has said, that was it. You're gone. That said, LeBron's essentially a Laker. If his only goal, again, modus operandi number one, is to win and win big, win championships, then they might have to really start looking at deconstructing this. Now, the hesitation that you have if you're Rob Pelinka and the Lakers is that you don't want to start making bad deals, which compound other bad deals that you've already made. So you don't take a bad deal for Westbrook now or a bad deal for street clothes now. It's kind of too bad that you couldn't have traded AD like 3 weeks ago when he was playing so good in the middle of all those 25 and 10 games. But what will happen is what always happens. We'll get closer to the trade deadline, and this may be true for the Bucks too, okay? Because the Bucks have been rumored in a number of different ways of trying to make some sort of significant trade for not like a huge player, but another quality starter or a role player that could come in and be like that other guy, right? A Robert Covington, somebody like that could really shoot like Jason Breacher was looking for, play good quality defense, and give them a run against other guys in the East that they're going to need to make a run against. The Lakers might wait until near the trade deadline, see if somebody's biting, and then see what happens. Who's tanking out? Who's not playing good? Are the Oklahoma City Thunder with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is amazing, are they really going to look to pay that guy if he's not already paid whatever he's worth? Do they want to get a guy like Westbrook and use all their draft picks to go ahead and say, great, now we've got an expiring contract and we've got all these picks, and we're going to go to the draft with all of this stuff, because they'd probably be able to get a few picks from the Lakers as well. I'm sure a lot of those things will come into consideration, but it's just, man, it's really kind of sad in a number of ways. And I was thinking about this the other day. You got Brady at 46 limping his way to maybe the playoffs with the Bucks. We've had Rodgers, who, listen, is having a resurgent couple of weeks against some really questionable teams, and a Tua-led Dolphins team who, by the way, we haven't gotten into this yet, saw him get another concussion. They did confirm Tua got another concussion. Yeah. He should not play for the rest of the season.
Teddy Bridgewater, I think, starting this week.
Yeah. He is. He's going to start. But I'm just looking at these older guys, LeBron, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Jesus, the way that they're having to sort of just struggle off of the field or the court, it's sad. In a lot of ways, it's sad. It was like that for Kobe. It was like that for Michael. It was like that for Muhammad Ali. There have been very few athletes that have gracefully been able to sort of exit. And not to say that LeBron still can't play and Aaron can't play, because those guys, they can still do it. But the team's success in large part has just not matched.
You get criticized either way. Barry Sanders and Jim Brown both got criticized for leaving too early. But you know what? Hindsight, you look at that and you're like, they did it right. They did it right, because you can't. You left some in the tank, and you left the audience wanting more, which as a performer is something you always want to do. You never want to be on the stage with people going, all right, get the hell off the stage now. Bring the next guy on. You always want, like, no, don't leave. Come back. Nope. I'm leaving now. You know what? This guy can handle it. I'm doing something different.
Well, I tell you what, because we are sitting here and we're doing something right now that I told myself 8 months ago I wasn't going to do. The best thing that happened to me, and I've said this to those that know me, and I've said it to some that didn't care to hear it, the best thing that happened to me was actually leaving the radio show, because what I found out is people hated the new shit so much, they just kept saying, Dave, you got to come back. And I was like, all right, you've talked me into it. I know we can't talk Marengo Mike to come to La Crosse tonight. That's a bit of a haul. Says he won't be at the recovery room this evening. He's enjoying the near 60-degree weather. The snow is almost gone. Enjoy the night, Mike. I'd love to be able to see you, that's for sure, but enjoy that weather, Chad. I was like outside this morning. It was 37, felt like a heat wave. I can't wait. This evening is going to be a ton of fun. 6 to 10 p.m. at the Recovery Room, 7th and Mississippi in downtown La Crosse. We are giving away prizes every 15 minutes, culminating, Chad, with the giveaway of that 43-inch television at 10 o'clock tonight. 9:45, we'll have the 162-inch snowboard to give away. So many prizes from Stacks Family
Centimeter.
Farms.
162. Yeah, that's.
Did I say inch
feet.
again? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's the 162 centimeter.
Yeah.
The inch one is the canoe, the boat that you're getting from me sometime next year when we get the 2023 rolling. All right, boys and girls, stay tuned. We got a lot more hoop to talk about this morning on the Sports Carnival. Coach Kent Dernbach of the Eagles, now 10-2 on the season, will be joining us. The Eagles got a big win, 73-70 over Augustana last night. Couple of career nights as well for some Eagles players. Stay tuned. We're back in about 60.
Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate.
The official mortgage team of the Sports Carnival is the Midwest mortgage team of Land Home Financial, my good buddies Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi. Listen, we all know the mortgage industry is in a bit of an upheaval right now, and that's why it's more important than ever to go to a couple of guys that you can trust, a local operation right here in La Crosse. That is the Midwest mortgage team. Again, Michael Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi of Land Home Financial. Don't make a mistake with your mortgage needs. Go to the official mortgage provider of the Sports Carnival, the Midwest mortgage team, Mike Garcia and Todd Vercruzzi.
Back to the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studios. It's not if you win or lose, but how you play the game. Remember, that does not apply in gambling. That does not work for gambling. You got to win. Win, baby. Just win. Now, here's your host, Dave Carney.
So this is a great thing to be able to mention with winning and gambling. We've got some of our audience members, Chad, signed up with us at BetUS. BetUS.com. You sign up, use the promo code Carnival. You get 125% free play deposit match in your sportsbook wallet. We've got some winners on this particular program. I've been checking in because I get to see, I don't get to see exactly what you bet on, but I get to see how you're doing, the performance in what you're doing. We've got some folks here that are really astute gamblers. They are crushing it. Congratulations again. BetUS.com. Use the promo code Carnival. 125% free play money. Coming up tonight, 5 o'clock, Chad, I'll be on with John Papadopoulos, ESPN 105.5's The Sports Lead. As a member of that show now on Thursdays as the sports betting analyst, the consultant, Vegas Dave, if you will. I've got I've got 2 words for you.
Yeah.
Football teaser. That's what we're going to be talking about coming up tonight on the Sports League. Football teaser. I wanted to say 6-point teaser, but then I realized that was more than 2 words. So forget about it. Forget about it.
All right.
All right. Let's go back to the hoop conversation. We've been talking a lot of basketball this morning. The Bucks blew it last night in OT. 119-113 to the Bulls. The team that didn't blow it last night from the University of Wisconsin, La Crosse, the Eagles on the road against Augustana, a really tough game. Nip and tuck back and forth the whole night, Coach Kent Dernbach. But the Eagles survived with a 73-70 win. 4 different players in double figures last night, including career nights from Craig Steele and Jake Gross, which we want you to talk about. Coach Dernbach, top of the morning. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, well, great. I mean, there's nothing better than feeling after a W, right? In the locker room or whatever they put us in last night. We're like in this old wrestling room that converted, it's just what it is on the road, right? It doesn't matter whatever level you're at. It's weird locker rooms, but then waking up with it. And it was nice to get a little glimpse of that taste, obviously, to lose 2 in a row, right? I mean, if we're going to talk about how we won 9 in a row against a great schedule, we got to be okay talking about how we came up short on our home court, and that's what we did. And then to have to sit around, this game was supposed to be played last Thursday, right after finals, but then that little windstorm came and we couldn't get down there with it. And so we rescheduled it. And that was tough. Guys had to come back a day early. Some guys had to fly back early from both teams. And then for us to be able to get that done, drive down 4 hours, get a W on a CCIW, which is a great league. For those that don't follow Division III basketball, the WIAC is the best Division III league in the country, the one we play in. And the CCIW is either the second or third best league with it. So for us to go down there and get a road victory after not being able to play for a couple weeks and sit around after finals was really, really good for our team.
So, Coach, let's talk about a couple of the individual performances, because we saw a couple of standouts last night, most notably Craig Steele, who had 19 and 9. Both of those are career highs. If my notes are still correct, four threes. He also hit last night. So let's talk about him. And Jake Gross, also a career high of 12 last evening. But Craig, he was really impactful last evening. What do you think led to his explosion, both on the boards and from the offensive side?
Well, he's somebody, Dave and Chad, that's been in our program, obviously being a senior, and he has the capability of doing that to make shots. It's one of the reasons why we were shooting, 50% from the field and 40% from the 3-point line through our first games, was because of Craig, right? But he's been able to expand his game more, in specifically the attention it takes on the defensive end to finish off possessions with the rebound. And that's not one of Craig's strongest attributes, coming in from Portage as a high school player, even through his first few years here. But over the last 2 weeks, you heard his voice like, can we rebound? Can we finish the possession with the rebound? And when somebody says that in practice, they're more than likely have an opportunity to get it done in the game. But if he doesn't talk about that in practice, he ain't going to get it done in the game, right? He's got no chance to get it done in the game. And he saw, what our limitation was to be able to finish off possessions. You saw that firsthand against St. Mary's, the number of a couple timely offensive rebounds that their guards got, against us in our last home game. And he wanted to make a statement, and so darn happy for him, right? Guy that came off an ACL tear and MCL tear a few years back and is playing his best basketball, obviously of his career, and, in a time that we needed it, right? We needed that win last night, and we were able to get it done.
And your guys' 2 losses, it was really probably more about shooting, right? You were so hot the first time. When you're relying on shooting, rebounding becomes essential, especially offensive rebound. Would you agree?
Yeah. It's so important to do that. And last night, for the first time, Chad, in really this entire season, for about 8 to 10 minutes, we actually guarded at the level that I really believe we can guard at. And our guys, I think, know we want to be able to get to. Until last night, we've had pockets, maybe 1 or 2, 3 possessions at a time that we're able to. But last night we held a team that was shooting the ball really well. You'll play some teams sometimes that you make a mistake defensively and they don't make the shot, right? They don't make the shot, and you're like, oh, that's maybe a good deal. Well, it's not, right? You have to prepare for when you're playing really good teams and they're making shots. And that's what we had last night. Every mistake we made or they made us pay for it. But what we're able to do, we held them scoreless for about 4.5 minutes. And that then allowed our slippage, where we got 4 or 5 straight stops, and then they scored 4 straight times. But kind of leading up to this point, we weren't able to get those 4 or 5 straight stops in a row that then could overcome, what we had going on with those lapses. So we saw just a little bit of glimpse of the steps that we're taking forward, and we're working hard every single day. But to your point, Chad, you got to be able to finish off possessions. And if you're not making shots, you got to try to go get 2 shots. And, just across the board, we had a really good effort. You mentioned Jake Gross, another kid, two knee surgeries. Right. And I bring this stuff up because these guys aren't getting paid to come here. Right. They're not on scholarship. It's all for the love of the game. Right. I mean, Jake Gross comes out, has 1 knee surgery, rehabs an entire year. Then his knee just gives out in the summer and has to have another knee surgery. And then it took another year for him to get on the court here. That's a hell of a story. Right. I mean, it's what, again, is so awesome about this level is guys just do it for the love of the game, and they're willing to work through hard days to get to that point.
Chad, this is something that I commented on when I was at the Eagles game at Mitchell Hall a week or so ago, and I was with a couple of buddies, Morning Wood and P12 Foreman, and I said, these are real college athletes. This is the definition. When you go to a UWL game or a Wyatt game, a CCIW game, you're seeing the true spirit of amateurism in college athletics. And I just think that's why you see such buy-in with the way that you're running this program. Let me ask you this, though, because we talked about it offline last week, and Jake Gross, okay, staying around to be able to manage this injury, get back on the court for the love of the game. We've got guys like Austin Wester, who had 15 points last night, real big performance from him as well. Craig Steele, another senior. You've got a lot of depth. Now, the team's got some injury concerns, and that's something that happens with every team, but you've got a lot of depth. You've got guys that want to play for you. Coach, how difficult of a job is it to manage the minutes of these different guys who all want to play, who all want to play significant time, who are all the top 1, 2, maybe at least 1, 2 players of their high school teams for the most part? How difficult is it to manage this time and look at a guy like Jake and say, listen, you're going to have to wait and wait and wait, and then maybe you get your opportunity. And when you do, hopefully you get to do something with it.
Yeah, it's a great point. There's so many components to that, Dave, because first of all, you need to have, like, we have an amazing staff, Kenny Finko and Kenny Desrosier and Mike Mashak, who used to be the head coach for the semi-pro league, team here in town, the Firebirds for forever, right? Like so they're able to identify guys that come from really good families or have that ability or that personality about them that they can do that. And that's not hard. That's not easy to find, right? You got to find guys that are willing to put the team before themselves. They can't be a selfish pig, right? And if they are, then you got to be able to somehow get them out of your program and not recruit them to you. But then once they're here, there's a lot of things, like you need a great staff like that can talk to guys. You need seniors like Ethan Anderson or Austin Westra, who had to wait 2 years to get on it, to be able to talk to the younger guys, right? You need to be able to see that. You need buy-in from mom and dad, right? These guys went home for Christmas. We lost 2 games in a row. We went home for Christmas. There's a number of guys that haven't played. And what do you think they heard at home? Did they hear something good? Did they hear something bad? Right. And then when they come back here and now they're around their team, how do they react to that? Like, there's so many components that go to that. And at the end of the day, we've talked about this before. If you're honest with them, right? If you're just honest with them in the recruiting process, then at least you have that backbone or that foundation that you can kind of refer back to. But if you're telling them that they're phenomenal and they're the best thing since sliced bread during the recruiting process, and then you're trying to like coach them up and tell them to get in a stance and they're not good enough when they're here, well, those two things don't clash. So, instead we'll talk about like, hey, how are you going to react to a tough day? How are you going to react? And I know I'm going on too damn long here, but how are you going to react when your team, you're the reason why your team wins games in high school, big time games in high school, to the reason why your team loses drills in practice? That's really humbling. That's really, really humbling. And we talk about that in the recruiting process to try to find those guys.
Yeah, I always find it interesting how much I guess ego plays into this when somebody has to come off the bench as to when they start, but maybe the minutes are comparable. That's really kind of an ego thing, don't you think? Because and some players do really well coming off the bench. They may play better off the bench, but some people take that as kind of like a shot at themselves. How do you manage that? How do you handle that? Is it like you said, you really have to feel each player out? Is this guy willing to come off the bench?
Well, there's the bench and coming off the bench, and then there's the bench where you don't get in the game.
Well,
right?
sure.
And for us, we traveled with 19 guys last night. There's eight or 7 guys that probably knew they weren't getting in, or 6 guys they knew are they ready to come to practice? And to your point, Chad, like last year, Craig Steele, we had an injury and he wanted to continue to come off the bench because he was comfortable there. This year he had more of a passion that he probably wanted to start, right? Be able to start games with it. And he's earned that, right? There's no doubt about it. He's earned that. But then I'll bring up a guy named, his name's Joey Platts. Joey Platts is a senior for us. And at any moment, I would feel comfortable going with Joey Platts to play. But Joey Platts has played like a total of like 8 to 10 significant minutes in 4 years being here. 4 years being here. And he comes to practice every single day, nearly every single day. 99% of the days he comes to practice and he's ready to work his butt off. That is something special, right? Henry Noon wasn't able to travel with us last night because of sickness. And I thought Joey was going to be somebody that was going to step in for us and get his first action. It didn't happen. But Joey will show up today and he's going to be ready to work. And that's what makes a program special, right? When you can refer to those guys that don't even get a taste of it, right? They don't even get a taste of it. But to be honest with you guys, I give those guys credit, but it's the player that I was. And I know that you can be an integral part of a program.
Sure.
Doing that stuff, right? You have to have those guys. And thankfully we have it. And again, it all starts with being surrounded. They're surrounded by really good people. When they go home for holidays, when they talk to them on the phone, when they're texting with their friends, they need to have a really good group around them to support them, because it's not like they're failing because they're not getting in the game. No, that's not it at all. It just happens to be that I haven't called their number yet. They are a success story. It just happens to be they haven't been in the game yet.
Coach, I think one of the reasons that you've got such a great ability to cross over it and really get the buy-in from these guys is because that's the kind of player that you were as well. And you can understand where they're coming from. I think this is a conversation, Chad, you and I have had many different times before with respect to coaches in the NBA level that have been great players. There's been relatively little success ratio from great player to great coach. Larry Bird's the only one to win a coach of the year and an MVP. An executive of the year as well, as I'm sure Chad would like to mention. But there isn't a lot of examples of being great player equaling great coach. There are some, to be sure, but not a ton. I think that being the kind of player that you were gives you a real way to show the buy-in to these young men as they begin their process and begin then their career with the University of Wisconsin lacrosse. And I tell people this all the time. Matt Janis, yourself, all the coaches over at the U are doing such a great job. We as a community are extremely lucky to have you. You've got a bright future, man. And Chad, I'm watching Kent up and down the court coaching this team up a week and a half ago, and I thought, whoa, boy, there's going to be 19,000 people in a stadium with this guy at some point because he's a really good coach. We're lucky to have you, and I'm really glad that you're able to come on the show, man. I appreciate you so much.
Well, I appreciate it. You never, and believe me, there's no confusion of me being a good player, right? When I talk about Joey Platts, like that, Joey Platts can play, right? You look at my stats, I played 0 minutes in 3.5 years at Carthage College, right?
Hey.
So, yeah, that's what it is.
Listen, the practice, and we talked about that. That's where I shine, man. I love practice. It was great. Egg everybody on and show them what time it is. Coach Kent Dernbach of the 10-2 University of Wisconsin Lacrosse Eagles. Thanks so much. Congrats on that big win last. Talk to you soon, man.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks, Coach.
Go Eagles.
Preferred Insurance is the official auto, home, business, flood, and life insurance agency of the Sports Carnival, serving folks in La Crosse and surrounding areas with licenses in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. As an independent insurance agency, Preferred Insurance is free to find the very best insurance for you, your family, or your business needs. Call my friends at Preferred Insurance today and set up a free consultation. Remember, working with an independent agency means Preferred Insurance works for you, with you, to find the best solutions at the best prices.
Coming to Fox this fall, it's the Bench Brothers.
Talking about that street clothes in Westbrook.
They're getting down on the bench. The Bench Brothers, brought to you by Big Dick's Hoagie Heaven. Remember, ladies, the first 6 inches is free. And by Don Francisco's. At Don Francisco's, if you're up all night, so are we.
Street clothes in Westbrook.
They're getting down on the bench.
Back to the action live from the Trauma Center studios. This is the Sports Carnival. Check out this Bob Marley quote. The truth is, everyone's going to hurt you. You just got to find out the ones worth suffering for.
Ooh.
Now, here's your host, Dave Carney.
Well, no woman, no cry, right?
True.
Another Bob Marley quote, which I can't remember which movie it was, but the guy had it completely messed up. He's like, no woman, no cry. No, it means something else. Oh, man. Kent Dernbach, UWL head basketball coach. What a great listen he is. I'm telling you, Chad, for as long as these guys are here, because I always hope that they stay for 100,000 years because it's our hometown team. Everybody's career it's got its own trajectory, and I don't know what Coach Kent Dernbach's aspirations are, but he's one of these guys I look at. I watch him coach. I see him interact with the players. I hear him talk to us, and I just know for a fact that he has got a really high ceiling, that he's going to be coaching some significant Division I basketball games or something like that at some point in his future because he's just a really good coach, and you can tell how well he connects with the team. We're getting a lot of messages here on YouTube and on Twitch and on our Facebook group page about Coach Kent Dernbach. Keep it up. We've also seen this from Morning Wood. P1 Breacher, Mike Byers is announcing that he will, in effect, be in attendance this evening at the recovery room, 6 to 10. Morning Wood says, if Breacher and Pimp Daddy Haggerty, also known as Jimmy Namath, are going to be at the recovery room, then he'll be there too. I don't know that we've seen Jimmy chime in this morning yet. He might have, but I bet you anything Jimmy will be there too. I bet you anything he will. This is going to be a big brouhaha. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Joey Miller's lamenting that he can't come because he's under the age of 21.
I know. Joey, we are too, man. We are too, but guaranteed we'll be talking about your big ass over there. Joey
I would imagine.
Still growing right now. He's 6'10" right now.
Joey Miller would love that 13-foot snowboard.
It's a snowboard. That might be the only one big enough for Joey. So when I met Joey, the first time I met Joey, he was, I think, in like 8th grade or 9th grade. He's graduated from high school now, right? I believe Joey was in 8th grade. I thought it was like Beluga. The guy was huge. I mean, like it was the bear from, fucking Disney. He was massive, and he's just the nicest kid in the entire world. Chad played on the Aquinas state championship football team 2 years back. What a kid. And when you're 21, you're going to have a ton of fun with this, man. He's
an Aquinas? I'm a Pisces.
Yes. He's a blue gold, and we don't know what that is either. We can't figure that one out. Remember,
I figured out what a Sooner was. A Sooner was the person that settled land before it was available to the government made available. They came.
I see.
They were sooner rather than later, if you will. So, yeah, it's not necessarily a compliment. I'm surprised that it's still in today's world. I'm surprised that hasn't been changed.
You know why? Because it doesn't resonate. Like it doesn't have an instantaneous visceral reaction inside of you, like the word moist. Some people hear the word moist.
I like that.
I'm good with it.
Moist brownie. I'm a big fan of moist brownies.
I'm a good thing of most things moist, except for my belly button. Not a fan of that. When that happens, that's not necessarily the best thing. But otherwise, moist is good. Chad, I know that we've only got about 8 minutes left, and I want to go ahead and do a couple of things. Get to our poll question on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney. Have you bring up that Derek Carr graphic that we spent so much time putting together this morning. I knew that our Packer fans would be having a bit of fun with this today because the Packers have been obviously missing Davante Adams, figuring things out now, of course, and the Packers have a puncher's chance to make the postseason, and we're hoping that against the Vikings this Sunday, they make it a step closer. But losing Davante Adams, who Coach Matt LaFleur said was 80% of the offense last year, I don't know if I would admit that openly, but said it was 80% of the offense last year, has hurt the Packers, and it's hurt Packer fans. Well, Davante Adams, in essence, went to the Las Vegas Raiders to play with his good buddy, college teammate, Derek Carr. Yesterday, to me, inexplicably, I can't figure out what this is all about, except for the fact the Raiders would owe this guy $33 million next year for sure if he gets injured.
That's what it's about.
Okay, if he gets injured, they owe him $33 million. So they're benching Derek Carr for the last 2 games of the season. They're still mathematically within a playoff chance, and Derek Carr has now left the team. This thing really did surprise me. I can't figure out what the Raiders are trying to do again, except for save him from injury so they don't have to pay him next year. Davante Adams, and this is just a portion of his quote, said that him being one of my really good friends is the reason that I came here in the first place. He did go on to say that obviously Derek Carr's has got to do what they've got to do for the rest of the regular season. But here's my question to you, Chad, because Derek Carr's out of Las Vegas. Like, this is over. There is no going.
Yeah, he's gone.
What do the Raiders do for quarterback next season? Okay, because like I put in that graphic, Derek Carr's in the car. He's out. Okay, he's on the road. What do they do for a quarterback next season? Here are your options that you can take part in at the Sports Carney on Twitter and on our Facebook group page. Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo, other free agent, or the NFL draft. I've recently made an argument that Tom Brady's only 2 landing spots are San Francisco, which I don't think he actually fits with, and Las Vegas. I actually think that Tom Brady now is going to be Josh McDaniels' target for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's getting 28.6% of the vote. That's tied with other free agent and NFL draft. Jimmy G getting 14.3%. What are your thoughts? Where do you think the Raiders go? Tom Brady, Jimmy G, other free agent, draft.
I think Jimmy Garoppolo. I would say Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a good fit there.
You do?
I don't know. Tom Brady, I mean, seriously, this goes back to what I said about LeBron. How many freaking teams? Dude, just go. You've got 7 Super. What are you doing? What are you doing? You think you're going to go to the Raiders and win a Super Bowl?
Well,
come on. I mean, I guess it would be attractive. Let's say, how about we look at it from a quarterback's point of view? You got Devontae Adams there. If you like the guy and you click, so you meet with Devontae before you decide to go or whatever, and you guys click, you're like, okay, we're boys, let's do this. That's pretty attractive. It is Vegas, right? So there's certain players that are going to like that. We lived in Vegas. Vegas is cool place to be, good weather.
Yeah.
You know, great whores, great buffets, all that good stuff.
All those things.
It's good times. So, I mean, I can see it being attractive to a lot of guys. But, really, if you're the Raiders, I guess they are good at, like, collecting old, rundown Heisman Trophy winners and guys
fantastic
that past their prime.
Yes.
So you're probably right. It's going to be Tom Brady. Wow. Now that I think about it, you're probably right.
Listen, to me, there were a number of reasons that it pointed to this direction. One of two ways. And we actually, like I said, had a conversation about this a few weeks back. The Las Vegas Raiders have a couple of things going for them. They play indoors, right? So you've got that. You go back to the AFC if you're Brady. You do have to play a tough division. No question about it. The AFC West is a tough division, but you play indoors. You've got no state income tax. The same thing with Florida. Don't let this fucking surprise you guys and gals. I know it's like, why would Tom Brady go to Tampa Bay? There's no state income tax in Florida. Same thing with Texas, same thing with Nevada. So the money that you make, it goes further. So you get that. You get to live the Las Vegas lifestyle. Now as a single Tom Brady, you're not a married man anymore. You can live the single celebrity Las Vegas lifestyle.
It is a party, though. It is a party. Do you have to BYOW, bring your own water, because it's running out. So there's that as well.
Brady can afford it. I think he can bring that Alex, whatever, his trainer with him. They can figure this thing out. It just seems to me that with Josh McDaniels there, the Raiders have been without Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow as well. So those are two guys that they haven't been playing with. Those are two big-time targets. They've got Josh Jacobs. They've got Devontae Adams. You look on that defensive side of the ball, they've got some game wreckers over there for Las Vegas. It's not that the Raiders hadn't been able to score. That's why when Josh McDaniels said, we need to throw the ball better, I'm like, wait, dude, the scoring hasn't been the reason that you've lost football games. It's like the comedy of errors surrounding the rest of the team.
Right.
That feels like it's lost you games. But I understand that this is a future move, a contractual move. Derek Carr's owed money if he's injured, not if he isn't. It looks to me now, though, like this is setting up, if, in fact, Tom Brady's old ass wants to keep playing until he's, 50? And how long is this going to go on for, by the way, where Tom Brady's just going to keep playing over and over and over again? But I feel like this is setting up for a perfect scenario in which Brady and the Bucs get to make that leave, make that move. Derek Carr's free now to go take any number of the open jobs that there will be. The Jets, you could look at the New York Giants. I mean, he's definitely an upgrade over both of those teams. You'd have an opening in Tampa Bay, I suppose. You could look at a number of different teams.
What about Matty Ice's idea?
Well, that's Matt Ellens. That's not Matty Ice.
Oh, Matt Ellens. Excuse me. Packers trade Rodgers for Carr and Adams comes back. I love it.
Well, I mean,
that would be freaking hilarious.
That would be interesting. No chance
that won't happen.
But that would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that, if you're the Raiders, you're probably looking at a couple of things. It's not Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be with the Packers. But you're probably looking at a couple of things. I know it's not Jared Stidham. It's not Jared Stidham. Like, that is not a thing.
I don't even know who that is. I mean, I have no...
He was on the Patriots a couple of years ago. He was like a 4th, 5th, 7th, 10th round draft pick. Who cares? You know what we've got to, again, mention? And I'm glad that we corrected. It wasn't Matty Ice. It was Matty Ellens. He's the owner of the...
I apologize.
That's fine. Matty Ice is Matty Euler, which it's easy for me to see how you would make that particular mistake. They're both Matt E's. But this evening, Matt E. Ellens, that is, and the Recovery Room with myself, our friends from Alaskan Amber, Blue Moon, New Glarus, Stacks Family Farms, hosting a huge holiday giveaway party chat. It's what we've been gearing up for the last 6 weeks. 43-inch TV, 162-centimeter snowboard, tons of Stacks Family Farm giveaways, plus pint glasses, shirts, Bucks swag from Absolute Vodka. I mean, we've got a lot of Bucks swag from Absolute Vodka. We've got Tito's swag. We've got bar games to give away. We've got gift certificates. We've got so much stuff. we're going to have to give it away every 15 minutes. Matt was even asking me if I could do it every 10 minutes, and I told him no. I've got to be able to suck down these delicious cocktails, and I need at least a couple of minutes to be able to do that. I'm going to be sufficiently smashed, Chad. If we have a show tomorrow, this will be a surprise.
Hey, Dallas or Tennessee? Who do you like?
Dallas by, 19.5 points now? You know nobody's playing for the Titans. Like, this is going to be a preseason game for them.
Yeah, I think Dallas was it opened up at 10. I don't know where it is now. So
well, I'll tell you, it's Dallas minus 12.5 right now. The total's gone down to 39.5. Right. If Dallas doesn't score 40 points by themselves, they should be ashamed of themselves.
Well, I'm just hoping for a decent game.
It's not going to be a decent game. Don't worry about watching the football game. Come and hang out with us at the recovery room. We'll keep you sufficiently entertained. Chad, wish you could be here, man. We would definitely have a ton of fun tonight.
Well, I'm sure I would have tons of fun, and I hope you guys all do, and win a 13-foot snowboard.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk to you guys maybe tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock for sure tonight, 6 to 10 over at the recovery room. Have a great day, guys and gals. 5 o'clock ESPN tonight. I'm on with John Papadopoulos. Don't forget.